Get ready for The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show. Events, businesses, and people. Anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to The Splash Live.
Hello and welcome back to The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show where we bring your local news close to home in West Bloomfield, Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, and the city of Sylvan Lake. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft, and thank you for joining us each and every day on Comcast Channel 15 and on AT&T Channel 99. You can also join us online in high definition every single day on CivicCenterTV.com. Follow along with us on Facebook and watch us live every single day, Facebook.com/CivicCenterTV15, and do the same on our YouTube page. Find us live, find us on demand, plus subscribe and hit the bell icon for even more stories and more video posts and special programs in the near future, including over the next several days and next couple of weeks at Civic Center TV on YouTube. Plus, you can take all of your local programming with you on the radio, on the road, and on your phone on 89.3 Lakes FM and online on lakesfm.com. The weather on Monday was truly dreadful, but it gets very busy and continues to be a little bit stressful outside over the next several days in Greater West Bloomfield. That all kicks off today with what's expected to be a stormy Tuesday, not only in Greater West Bloomfield, but across the state of Michigan. You're high on this Tuesday, 39, and a low of 34. And despite those seasonably a little bit warmer than normal temperatures that we've been experiencing this week, rain and snow in the forecast for today and already underway. We've had some light snowfall already this morning, and that's going to continue on until right around 11 o'clock, maybe even into upwards of 1 o'clock in this afternoon, depending on the area of the state that you're in and how this weather pattern continues to develop as it moves through our area. It's going to vary between rain and snow, or even a mix of the two, especially as we get later on into the morning and into the afternoon. Those temperatures will rise, so as it goes above freezing, the snowfall will transition into a mix between snow and rain as it falls through the atmosphere and down to the ground. That could affect the roadways, and that could affect also how road crews are reacting in our local area and prioritizing problem areas across Oakland County. So keep that in mind. It's going to be a big weather day. We got more details on this from the National Weather Service and from Oakland County Emergency Management coming up in just a little bit. Your forecast for Wednesday, a high of 35 and a low of 31 across the Greater West Bloomfield community. Snow also expected on Wednesday this week, and that will go up to about 8 o'clock in the morning. Following that, it'll be cloudy for the rest of the day, and the winds will pick up throughout the day with gusts upwards of 20 miles per hour in the middle afternoon. So be advised about that, especially if you're driving. You may need to keep a little bit of a tighter grip on the wheel as those winds are coming through. And definitely be careful if you're outside, even for short periods of time, grabbing the mail, picking up the newspaper, or if you're out and about going to the grocery store. Take extra time, be extra cautious, try to be light-footed as best as possible and keep good balance out there. It's going to be windy, and that's going to be after a day of rain and snow, so it could also be icy in certain areas throughout our community on Wednesday. Much of the same on Thursday, a high of 34 and a low of 30. Snowfall throughout the morning begins about 8 o'clock in the morning, passing by about 11 o'clock, then cloudy all day and windy again on Thursday. However, those winds not nearly as high or as fast as they will be expected to be on Wednesday. The gusts will be about 15 miles per hour, so a little bit less severe than they will be on Wednesday per the current forecast. Although those 15-mile-an-hour winds will top out sometime in the mid-afternoon. Generally throughout the day, those gusts are going to be just under 10 miles per hour, with most of them expected to be topping out at about 7 miles per per hour. We'll continue to have updates on your forecast throughout the rest of the week, and we'll give you even more insight in just a few minutes on the weather forecast for today, as we expect rain and snow all throughout the greater West Bloomfield area and across Oakland County. As we go through our headlines, that is our top story today. The National Weather Service out of the Detroit Pontiac area and the Oakland County Emergency Management Department urging some extra caution today and precaution today, as we're expecting rain, snow, and ice throughout the day. Dependent on weather patterns, we could have a little bit of snow, 3 to 5 inches, or a significant amount of snow for our area, upwards of 6 inches. We'll go more into that in just a little bit. Last night, an exciting day for West Bloomfield and for Michigan fans all across the greater West Bloomfield area. You're seeing on your screen right now as we preview this. Keegle Harbor Mayor Rob Kalman at the stadium in Houston as the Michigan Wolverines won the national championship in college football, NCAA Division I college football playoff. National champions. We'll go into even more detail about other local connections to this game, not only in the stands, but on the turf as well down in Houston. The West Bloomfield Police Department aptly timing a post, taking a little bit of a throwback on Monday, as they were reacting to a growing meme online, and also aptly timed with it being a championship day in its own right. We'll tell you and we'll show you that picture that throws that back in just a little bit as well. The West Bloomfield Woods Nature Preserve has been recognized by a Facebook travel group as a destination location, even as we head into winter for recreation, exploration, and outdoor time. We'll give you more insight and look into some of those pictures that they posted, as well as they advertise across the country for people to come to our local area, enjoy our trails, and enjoy that particular nature preserve. West Bloomfield and all the country is getting ready for a busy election season here in Michigan. That really kicks off in the high gear in February as the first set of primaries comes through the Great Lakes State. West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder will be participating in a seminar, all centered around different ways you can participate in the election this year, and all different ways that you are allowed to vote in our local, state, and federal elections, alongside Oakland County Clerk Lisa Brown and Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. We'll have more information on that later on. We'll talk to Clerk Binder about that program happening virtually later on this week. Girl Scout troops in our local area are seeking new members at Doherty and Gretschko Elementary Schools. We'll tell you how you can get involved and join those troops, as well as how our local Roosevelt School Girl Scout troop is seeking some extra funding this year for special programs. It is Girl Scout cookie season, and their sale is underway. We'll give you information on that coming up later on in the program. Plus, just a little bit over a week away from the board installation breakfast with our friends at the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. We'll have information on that special program that introduces new leaders in our business community coming up in just a little while. Plus, information on resources for veterans in our local area for reporting issues in schools for our kids through OK to Say, a free program provided by the state of Michigan. We'll have information on that. Plus, other tidbits of information that could be helpful to you and yours here in Oakland County. Stay with us. More stories that are close to home in West Bloomfield, Orchard Lake Village, Sylvan Lake, and Keegle Harbor, plus around the Oakland County area. Coming up, The Splash Live. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on CivicCenterTV.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at CivicCenterTV.com and click Schedule at the top of the screen.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiver.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream lives on with United We Walk, an event that celebrates Dr. King Jr.'s birthday by embracing unity, diversity, and acceptance. Volunteer, participate, or donate to bolster our community. For more information, go to unitedwewalk.org. Show your support Sunday, January 14th, 2024. from 1 to 3 p.m. at the West Bloomfield Middle School. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
We thank you for joining us each and every day throughout your work week on The Splash Live, taking a look into news stories that are close to home in West Bloomfield and the Tri-Cities of Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake Village, and Keego Harbor, all throughout your work week. I'm Tyler Kieft, and encourage you to keep up to date with us on our website on CivicCenterTV.com. You'll find a full program schedule so that you'll know when to catch us here on The Splash, other special programs from throughout the local area, and imported programs that give you some insight also into Oakland County and the greater area of our region here in Michigan and the Midwest. Plus, you'll have even more information on municipal meeting broadcasts in our local community. Had a Township Board meeting on Monday night. That's replaying today. The West Bloomfield Planning Commission meeting tonight. And then Sylvan Lake, their Planning Commission tomorrow, followed by our bosses here at the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission on Thursday. All of those air times, plus all those meetings on demand, and news and information from us here at The Splash, always available on CivicCenterTV.com. It is a busy weather day today in our local area. Take extra precautions if you're on your commute at this time to or from work or throughout the community. Keep in mind, it's going to take you a little bit of extra time. People are going to drive slower. People are going to drive more cautiously. It's going to be a little bit frustrating, a little bit of a change of pace. And this is really that first transition for us into winter throughout our community as we have a potential for some significant snowfall in our local area. That's all dependent on how these weather patterns that have been filing into our area and throughout the western part of the Midwest over the last couple of days develop throughout this day today. We're expecting snow. We're expecting a rain-snow mix somewhere in the middle of the morning. And depending on how temperatures fluctuate throughout the day, depending on how this weather pattern develops, we could have a lot of snow, we could have a lot of rain, we could have a mixture throughout the day. All the more reason to take extra precautions. Give yourself all the time that you need. On your screen on CivicCenterTV.com, you're seeing an infographic from the National Weather Service serving the Pontiac White Lake area and Detroit on your screen with key messages and potential impacts of this winter storm activity on Tuesday during the day and overnight as well. A winter storm watch is in effect for Midland and Bay County in the northern part of the lower peninsula, but we're also going to be affected by this here in our local area. So for areas south of the I-69 corridor, which includes our area over here, we're expecting snow roughly from 4 a.m. to noon on Tuesday. So that's already underway. It's going to affect us really exclusively with snow through about the middle of the day today. Then it transitions into a rain-snow mix right around 1 o'clock. And depending on the temperatures, depending on the development of the storm, we could see anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of snow through that 1 p.m. time when the storm transitions mostly to rain. But the pattern changes a little bit more. The precipitation's a little more significant. Could see upwards of 6 inches. The Oakland County Emergency Management Department sharing this graphic from the National Weather Service on their Facebook page, facebook.com/oakgov.em is that Facebook page. In their statement about the storm posted last night, Oakland County Emergency Management wrote, quote, "A period of moderate to heavy wet snow is expected to impact southeast Michigan on Tuesday morning. A few inches of snow will be possible across much of the area before the precipitation changes over to rain. The Tuesday morning commute may be impacted by accumulating snow for some, but not all locations," end quote. So weather.gov is a good place to go for more information. Weather.gov/DTX is the link for the Detroit area. But you can also put in your specific zip code for even more isolated updates and information about your specific area of southeastern Michigan. So whether you're driving through our local area, listening on 89.3 Lakes FM, maybe you're heading to one side or the other of Oakland County, or just passing through and want to get more information as you pull over, or maybe you stop at maybe a hotel if you're staying over the night and want to get more information. weather.gov/DTX. It's a good starting point for the Metro Detroit and the Detroit City region, or you can put in your specific zip code for even more detailed information. In addition, if you're here in Oakland County, a good follow on Facebook, facebook.com/oakgov.em to follow Oakland County Emergency Management, or facebook.com/oakgov. That is the general page for Oakland County, where they will also post and reshare updates from our emergency management department. Keep up to date throughout the day. Stay with your resources on TV, on the radio, as well as online on those websites and other resources we have provided for the latest news and updates as the storm develops. It's going to affect us all day long here on this Tuesday, but snow also in the forecast for Wednesday and Thursday, as we mentioned earlier. We'll have further weather updates on other editions of the Splash Live coming up today and throughout the week. It was an exciting Monday night for Michigan Wolverines fans, and a bittersweet night for a Spartan like me in our local areas. We saw so many West Bloomfield High School alums and those with connections to our local area playing key roles on the gridiron for the Michigan Wolverines in their 34-13 victory over the former Pac-12 and now Big Ten Washington Huskies in Houston to win the national championship. On your screen on CivicCenterTV.com, you're seeing all 6 of our local individuals who participated and all played some role in the championship effort for the Michigan Wolverines. Centered on that graphic at the very top is wide receivers coach Ron Bellamy, more formerly known here in the West Bloomfield area as the former head coach from 2010 to 2020 of the West Bloomfield High School varsity football team, winning a championship in his final year at the helm in the COVID year back in 2020. Then on the other parts of the graphic, left to right, freshman offensive lineman Amir Herring didn't see the field much last night in the national championship game, but that offensive line at U of M was a key point for Sharon Moore as he rebuilt that offense over the past few years. Kirk Herbstreit, the color commentator for ESPN and ABC on the broadcast last night, even mentioning that Sharon Moore, as he built that offense, as he came in as the offensive coordinator and transitioned out of being co-offensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh, he wanted to focus on offensive line recruiting. They've had a great offensive line, and Amir Herring is the future there. One of the most heavily recruited linemen, not only in Michigan, but in the entire country at the University of Michigan. Also, you're seeing next on there, Samaj Morgan, who plays wide receiver, had a reception last night that Washington was able to take back a few yards, but also returned a couple of kick returns in that game. A bright future for Samaj. He had a big year in his freshman campaign at the University of Michigan. Both Coach Bell as well as Coach Harbaugh have a lot of confidence in that young man who's proven a lot already in his college career. He's a little bit undersized per the average of a wide receiver in NCAA football, but plays well above his size. He's extremely athletic, got a high football IQ, a very confident wide receiver, and has a very bright future ahead. And hey, everybody's been sleeping on Donovan Edwards all season long. Hey, where has he been? Blake Corum's having a great year. Wasn't this supposed to be a 1-2 punch? He came out swinging last night, getting Michigan on the board right away. I believe we do have a clip of that we can play in the background as I talk about this, Calvin. That first touchdown, that's his second one. We have the other clip would be his very first touchdown. It was kind of a defensive battle to start things off. Michigan's offense marching up the field. Go to the next one, Calvin. There we go. That's the clip we're looking for, if we can put that up. Very first score of the game. About 5 minutes in, they're at the 41-yard line in the shotgun. J.J. McCarthy with Edwards to his right, hands it off, and look, he gets swallowed up into traffic, and he breaks free. And we've seen this a million times in West Bloomfield. Gets a little bit of space, gets to the sideline, and gets to the house to put the Wolverines on the board. But the Don, as Gus Johnson from Fox coined Edwards' nickname last season, he wasn't done yet. A few minutes later, after the stop by Michigan's very dominant defense, Edwards came back around for his second score of the game. Here we are setting this up. This one also, this video from ESPN, both of these courtesy of ESPN and ABC. This was from their special Field Pass broadcast with Pat McAfee. Just after the 50-yard line, Edwards gets the ball again and breaks free again. His second touch, his second tutty. Gets down the right sideline, back into the Washington end zone, and puts Michigan up 10 points. They did not score the PAT there, and so it remained 13 14-3 at that point, but didn't really matter. Michigan, throughout the rest of that game, outscoring Washington 21-10 to take home their first national championship under head coach Jim Harbaugh. 34-13 is the final score. Michigan went into that game number one, and they left that game number one. And Donovan Edwards, his first two plays of the game, his first two touches, took both to the end zone, had nearly 50 yards on both, between both of those two, had over nearly 80 yards on both of those carries, and on the entirety of that game. Donovan Edwards pulling in a big performance. 2 touchdowns, 6 carries for 104 yards for the Michigan Wolverines. To his right in this graphic, Makari Page, a safety for the University of Michigan. He graduated back in 2020 and just before that championship year, and had a big performance on the defensive side, had a penalty later on, and a little bit of extra oomph after a play, and all the excitement of a late defensive matchup that came down to really Michigan's defense making some key stops with a little bit of momentum for Washington. But a big year for Makari Page, who's always played with a certain quiet confidence. That was on display last night. He gets the job done. Look, he's not flashy. He's not going to stand out when you're talking about the best defenders on your team, and not because he's not one of the best defenders on your team, but because he has that sort of Tim Duncan-esque quality to him. You know he's there. You know he's a presence, but he makes his presence known through his play on the football field. Lastly, on your graphic on the far right side, the only non-West Bloomfield High School alum in this graphic from the greater West Bloomfield area, kicker and punter Tommy Doman, also having an impact in last night's game. He's currently serving as the punter for the University of Michigan, will soon also be potentially their kicker, and he holds all their PATs as well in the Michigan 19, an alum of Orchard Lake St. Mary's. So 4 Lakers, 5 if you count Coach Bell as well, and 1 Eaglet on there from Orchard Lake St. Mary's. But on that graphic, 6 champions from the University of Michigan. Congratulations to them. Look, it pains my Spartan heart to say that Michigan has won the national championship, but you got to give them credit. They played through a tough year, a lot of distractions, and they have a lot to be happy about. So do the fans, including a very familiar fan who was in the stands in Houston on Monday night, Kego Harbor Mayor Rob Kalman in attendance for the game as he saw his Michigan Wolverines bring home the national championship. Calvin, we can put that up there, get a look on his smiling face. That was before, that was after the Michigan Wolverines' final whistle to win the national championship. All smiles, everybody soaking that in, and it was a big party also in Ann Arbor after that game. So congratulations to them. Their semester at the University of Michigan will begin later on this week, and what a great time to be a Michigan Wolverine for you Michigan fans out there, and especially big congratulations to the West Bloomfield Lakers for their family, their alumni, the L Boys Nation, big on display on the national stage in Houston last night. A little bit of a championship throwback from the West Bloomfield Township Police Department. This was maybe potentially a little bit of a Nostradamus effect they're looking forward. They posted a picture early on Monday of Darren McCarty bringing the Stanley Cup way back when to the West Bloomfield Police Department on his tour with the Stanley Cup. Every player gets a little bit of time with Lord Stanley's Cup after you win the NHL Championship Series, the Stanley Cup Finals, and he brought that to West Bloomfield way back when to join in on a little bit of fun and enjoying savoring a championship with the West Bloomfield Police Department. They posted that because there's been a meme going around about little water tumblers, and this isn't one that fits the meme, but these water tumblers that are made by a company called Stanley have been going through a meme that basically says, hey, we're replacing the Stanley Cup with this water tumbler. And so they posted that in the spirit of that, but hey, a little bit of a double meaning, a little bit meta there on a championship Monday as the Michigan Wolverines were able to bring home the college football playoff national championship title that's coming back to the state of Michigan. And hey, it's really good news if you like competition of what happened on Monday night, because Washington is joining the Big Ten next season, as is USC, as is UCLA, and it's going to be an even more competitive conference. Really, it's 2 big major conferences with a lot of the power players between the Big Ten and the SEC, and then you also have the Big 12 expanding as kind of that 3rd major conference, and the ACC still currently in existence with a lot of those other Power 5 schools that haven't yet transitioned into another conference still out and about joining some of the Group of 5 conferences or even being independent at this time. So an interesting future ahead in the Big Ten, and we'll certainly see a lot more of our recruits from our local area at their next step going forward. Brandon Davis-Swain reporting to the University of Colorado earlier on this week. Kari Jackson on his Twitter page had posted a picture of himself in the front row in class as he began his education at Penn State University. And talking about those Pac-12 teams coming into the Big Ten, Jameer Benjamin beginning his schooling also at the University of California at Los Angeles, a.k.a. UCLA. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, some fun information about recognition of our local trails and parks that was posted by a travel group on Facebook earlier on this week, plus job opportunities with West Bloomfield's police department and other departments all throughout the township. Stay with us. The Splash Live will be right back.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television is close to home.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Take a break and tune in to the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Join Tyler Kieft as he goes through headlines and events, updating you on the day-to-day happenings in Oakland County. Catch us live weekdays 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Watch us on demand at civiccentertv.com. Or watch us on TV at Comcast Channel 15 or AT&T at Channel 99. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Follow us on Twitter at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, keeping your local news close to home on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. Thank you also for joining us live and on demand and following us each and every day on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, as well as on Twitter, Instagram, and of course on YouTube at Civic Center TV. As we talked about, national championship press from across our local area and also, some weather events putting all eyes on southeastern Michigan and especially on the greater West Bloomfield area. Even more eyes on our area for those that like to get outside, get on the trails, and travel all across the U.S. The Weekend Adventurer is a Facebook group all surrounding traveling and getting out into nature with nearly 100,000 members of the group, and they got a little taste of our community recently as they posted about the West Bloomfield Woods Nature Preserve this week, posting pictures of the Trail Network map, some landmarks throughout the trails, getting a look at the trails themselves, and some of the recreational opportunities as well. Here's a picture of their sign that dedicates the entire West Bloomfield Trail with special stops along the way and extra trails within the woods. And you're seeing kind of at the bottom of your screen right now on CivicCenterTV.com, that sort of brown or purple looking trail within the woods. That is the West Bloomfield Woods Nature Preserves Trail Network, or part of that connects all throughout much of that wooded area and goes all the way back toward Lake Bluff Road and Deerfoot Trail, and so much off of that Arrowhead stop that gets you into the West Bloomfield Woods Nature Preserve. They also showed images of the trails, including some areas we can stop and enjoy the nature on little waterways, or that lookout, of course, with the cranes is always a favorite spot for people near the Arrowhead Trail stop. Of course, we got little streams and rivers down there and creeks down there that you can get a lot of looks into nature all throughout the year as well, and some opportunities for recreation, biking and walking and cross-country skiing all throughout the winter season as well. Some snow on the ground. That's how it's going to look. Look, this is an older picture, but it's going to look that way perhaps after this snowy Tuesday in the greater West Bloomfield area. If you want to learn more about the West Bloomfield Woods Nature Preserve, the West Bloomfield Trail, or other parks all throughout the greater West Bloomfield community, I'd highly encourage you to visit the West Bloomfield Parks website at wbparks.org or follow them on Facebook at WB Parks for even more information, not only on our parks and on our trails, but special programs that involve getting outside and getting into these parks even in the cold winters here in greater West Bloomfield all year long. There's also plenty of jobs available across the greater West Bloomfield area. The West Bloomfield Police Department, once again, kicking their hiring campaign into high gear. They are looking to hire police officers with pay upwards of $90,100 depending on qualifications. And they have great benefits too: pension, Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, health insurance, state-of-the-art equipment, paid time off, vacation days, personal days, disability and life insurance, paid sick leave, and so much more. Plus, opportunities for joining specialized units, including their K-9 unit, their Detective Bureau, Special Response Bureau, U.S. Secret Service Task Force, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and so much more. All of these opportunities currently available. Take a look at this graphic. So many different special units they have. So if you're interested in a career in law enforcement, West Bloomfield Police Department is a great way to start out that career, a great place to go to get access to some of these resources and these training opportunities in a very friendly community that gets you out in the community, teaches you community policing, and has a great team behind them and a lot of support in our 4 communities, as well as they assist with other neighboring cities and townships, not just in West Bloomfield Township. So if you're looking for those jobs, how do you apply? Well, of course, you can always find jobs available in West Bloomfield Township at wbtownship.org. But the West Bloomfield Police Department, partnering with parks, partnering with the library, partnering with West Bloomfield Township and its other various departments for a special job fair. That is coming up on Wednesday, January 17th from 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. at the newly renovated West Bloomfield Police Department headquarters. Hey, if you're looking at those police department jobs, some new digs over there at the police department. They've been spending several months on renovating that building, putting new state-of-the-art areas in there, expanding their facilities so they can do more and modernize those facilities for modern-day policing. So if you're looking for police officer positions, dispatcher positions, maybe you're looking to explore a career in law enforcement without necessarily getting out in the field right away. You can be a police service aide, which formerly was known as a cadet with the police department. Or maybe you're looking for other jobs that are seasonal, that are part-time or even full-time, that get you involved in the community with the library, with West Bloomfield Parks, or with other departments, including at Town Hall. Plenty of information, plenty of job opportunities, and networking opportunities as well. I'd highly encourage you to mark your calendars. January 17th, 1 week from Wednesday, 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. at the newly renovated headquarters of the West Bloomfield Police Department. More information can be found at wbtownship.org/jobs, or follow the West Bloomfield Police Department, who is organizing and operating this job fair, facebook.com/West Bloomfield PD. One of the many departments you may meet at that job fair is our West Bloomfield Clerk's office as we get ready for election season. We've got plenty of information you're going to need to know as the primary election, one of the first primaries in the entire country, comes up in Michigan in February, and we'll get more information on that. A special seminar coming up later on this week that will involve our West Bloomfield Township Clerk, Debbie Binder, our Oakland County Clerk, Lisa Brown, and Michigan's Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder joins us next to talk about that. Stay with us. The Splash Live will be right back.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on CivicCenterTV.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at CivicCenterTV.com and click Schedule at the top of the screen.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. "2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream lives on with United We Walk, an event that celebrates Dr. King Jr.'s birthday by embracing unity, diversity, and acceptance. Volunteer, participate, or donate to bolster our community. For more information, go to unitedwewalk.org. Show your support Sunday, January 14th, 2024, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the West Bloomfield Middle School. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live, keeping your local news close to home in Kegel Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, Sylvan Lake, and of course, West Bloomfield Township. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft, and thank you for joining us live on demand and always for more information about special local programming on CivicCenterTV.com. If you want to get immediate access to that and notifications whenever we're live or we post new videos or have other special programming on our YouTube page, subscribe and hit the bell icon, youtube.com. Our handle is Civic Center TV, or you can always follow us also on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15 to keep our updates, our special programs, and our live videos in your social media feed every single day. It's important to do that this time of the year as we head into the later portions of January and get closer and closer to the month of February. This election season gets underway early in the state of Michigan. The first primaries coming up in late February and others throughout the year as we head toward a busy November presidential election season. There's plenty of more rights that you have and different ways that you can vote in the state of Michigan per elections in the past several years. So it's important to get the information you need to know about how you can vote, when you can vote, where you can vote, and those rights that are provided to you. The National Council of Jewish Women of Michigan is holding a seminar later on this week virtually via Zoom on Thursday, January 11th at 7 o'clock p.m. called The Power of Your Vote, Taking Advantage of New Voting Rights. Joining us to talk about that virtual seminar is one of its three panelists, West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder. Debbie, thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Tyler, and I know you're a state guy, but happy National Champions Day.
Hey, you know what? It's tough to be mad about that state championship with all of our West Bloomfield connections to that game, wide receivers coach Ron Bellamy, Donovan Edwards, and so on. So all having big games yesterday, had a big impact. So we're proud in our local community, and congratulations to them. But let's get into this special event. Football always special, but the elections are really special too. And this year, it's again going to be ramped up in the high gear. We always know that there's more enthusiasm about the elections when we get into a presidential year, and all the more important than it is that people know their rights and how they can vote, and that's changed a lot in past years.
Yes, there have been some significant changes beginning with Proposal 3 of 2018 and continuing into Proposal 2 of 2022. And this will be the first big election cycle where we see some of the effect, impact of those changes. So people are a little bit confused, and we're doing our best to make sure they're straightened out. And we're grateful to the National Council of Jewish Women for understanding the importance of getting that message out and making sure, Tyler, I think one of the most important things is that message gets out through clerks and the Secretary of State and county clerks and people that really know, instead of people who are self-proclaimed experts who may or may not have the correct information.
Yeah, and especially with all these new rights that are available, and they're still relatively fresh. They've been in process, or some of them have been in process for past elections. But as we know, a lot of people, maybe they set out those midterm elections or smaller special elections in their local community, and they don't really get involved again until that next 4 years comes around and they get back to a presidential election, or they get to that 2-year midterm for the gubernatorial elections in their state. And so that's where that confusion comes in. And especially after the skepticism and the controversy that followed the last presidential election. How much more important is it from your perspective as a clerk and your colleagues and Lisa Brown, the Oakland County Clerk, and Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, and your departments to make sure that whether it's locally in West Bloomfield, whether it's regionally in Oakland County or statewide, that people understand these processes and why they are the way that they are now?
Well, voter education has never been more important and increasingly important. I mean, I think it was always an important message, but as things change and people do need to understand certain changes in process, and that every community, every jurisdiction follows state and federal election law, but there are changes to the way that election law is. And one of the biggest things that we're seeing this election cycle that will be the first time it's implemented is early voting, where the voter will have rights, a 9-day period prior to the election where they can vote early. It's called early. The difference between early voting and absentee voting is in early voting, the voter will actually put their own ballot in through the tabulator. Whereas in absentee voting, we count those ballots on election day. The plus to early voting is that if you do make a mistake, for an example, in a regular primary, not a presidential primary, if you were to cross over parties where that would spoil your ballot, the machine's going to spit it back out to you, let you know you made a mistake that you can then correct. Where if you vote absentee, you don't have an opportunity to correct that mistake. So that's a plus to early voting, and you will be able to vote early 9 days ahead of an election in the at the West Bloomfield Main Library. The 9 days begin on the Saturday, or the 2 Saturdays before the election. So it continues Saturday, Sunday, that weekend, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There is no early voting on Monday, although you can get an absentee ballot until 4 p.m. sharp on Monday. One big change that this will create is the opportunity to spoil a ballot if you've already turned it in. So in the last presidential primary, as candidates dropped out, people would come into our office to spoil a ballot and get a new one. Well, the deadline will be moving to the Friday before. So Friday, about 10 days before the election, if you've turned in your ballot, you will no longer be able to spoil that ballot, which that change came because now we have pre-processing and we have early voting. And anybody who has already cast their ballot in the tabulator would not be able to change their vote. So now there's consistency there. So that's one of the big changes. Another change is the implementation of the permanent ballot. People have always been able to be on the permanent absentee ballot application list, but now they will be able to request that a ballot gets mailed to their house permanently, and they're on that. They fill out one application. One important thing, and I think what's made it a little more confusing, is that we're beginning in a presidential primary, that people forget that there actually are 2 distinct ballots or 3 distinct ballots that they have to select from. So even if they request to be on that permanent ballot list and we automatically send them a ballot, they will get a ballot selection card from us every 4 years so that they can let us know what kind of ballot to send for that election. So that's one of the changes I think that has people, confused right now. But on that application that they're getting for the presidential primary, which is February 27th, there is a checkbox to select to receive a permanent ballot to your registered address. So those are probably 2 of the most significant changes. But we also have an increase in drop boxes in accordance with state law. So in addition to the 2 drop boxes we have at Town Hall on the east and west side of Town Hall, there will be a drop box outside of West Bloomfield Connect, and there will also be one at ACS, the West Bloomfield School District Administrative and Community Service Building, in the parking lot. So we are very grateful to our community partners that have allowed us to place those drop boxes in their locations. But it is important for our voters to remember you have to return your ballot or your application to a drop box that is for your jurisdiction. So if you work in Southfield and you live in West Bloomfield or vice versa, you want to make sure you put it in the correct drop box, not the other municipalities.
You can learn more information on West Bloomfield election information and regulations by visiting wbtownship.org. And, of course, another great way to learn more about these new options for voting, what they mean, how these processes work to make all these new voting options possible in Michigan and still have free and fair elections by joining the National Council of Jewish Women alongside speakers Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk, with us on The Splash today, as well as Oakland County Clerk Clerk Lisa Brown and Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. The power of your vote, taking advantage of new voting rights, is 7 p.m. on Thursday, January 11th via Zoom. Clerk Binder, as we talk about these new regulations that are in place, these new options that are in place, how has the processes changed then for our local clerks and for the county-wide also, and even really across the state, with these new options in place to continue to have free and fair, especially those fair elections? Because the fact of the matter is people can vote early, people can vote absentee. There is a lot of confusion around that, and part of that, I think, is because people just don't know a little bit of the insight on how the processes from a clerk's standpoint, from a clerk's office standpoint, have changed as well.
The best way to understand that, and we always tell people, is to work an election. It's very enlightening to see the checks and balances in place and see the process take place. So if anyone wants to really understand the intricacies of administering an election, it's a great way to get involved. Now, in Michigan, we are one of only 8 states where the elections are administered at the local level. Typically, they're administered in the county, at the county level. We do work in conjunction with the county, and over the past few years, West Bloomfield has increased our participation with the county in terms of processing our absentee ballots for any that are received before 4 p.m. the day before the election. And now the county, and we are actually one of very few, if not the only county in the state, where Lisa Brown has coordinated early voting centers to help the local clerks to help defray some of the costs and the administration, because every community has to provide for 9 days of early voting and to have the hours maintained. And you would have to staff those locations as well as buy the equipment. And by creating these early voting centers and partnering with Oakland County, which the law has allowed us to do, Lisa has really helped out our communities, our local communities. And we have a pretty significant participation rate in Oakland County because it is a tremendous asset. So they do have one regional county center as well at Waterford Oaks for people in West Bloomfield. Any voter at the main library, if they're in Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, or West Bloomfield, they would vote at our regional center. But also any person in Oakland County can vote out at Waterford Oaks. So good things to keep in mind. But again, that important distinction, Tyler, between early voting and absentee voting is that early ballot is put through the tabulator by the voter themselves, where an absentee ballot is turned into the clerk's office, balanced and up to the day that it's sent to the for processing. And we have to balance to that list of what is sent over, but those are counted on election day. That's probably your biggest difference between early and absentee. But yes, our voters now have the option to vote by early voting, absentee voting, or they may also vote in their polling location on election day. So we don't want to forget that that's always an option too.
On your screen is the flyer for this event happening Thursday, January 11th, virtually via Zoom. The power of your vote, taking advantage of new voting rights, featuring Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, Oakland County Clerk Lisa Brown, and of course West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder. Great opportunity to get even more insight in these new processes, how they work at the local, county, and the statewide level to ensure the fairness of our elections, with the ease of elections and voting for voters all across the state of Michigan, and to get your questions answered. Plenty of more information on your screen. We have the flyer for that. There's a QR code at the bottom right that you can scan to register to attend this event and get the Zoom link, or you can call the office of the National Council of Jewish Women of Michigan at 248-355-3300, which is also listed on this flyer. Debbie, anything else that we should know as we get ready for this conference virtually on Thursday night, and what else people may be able to experience and learn from attending?
I think as you mentioned, and we talked about that voter education is important, and you gave some great sources of information. And I would also add that at the Secretary of State's website, which is michigan.gov/vote, it's a great source of information as well as a place to register, to request your permanent ballot, to check, to ensure that you're registered and to see which districts you're in, and as well as to access a sample ballot, which you can also get from the clerk's office. But it's important to make sure you're getting your information from a correct source. And, we're always available. If anyone wants to call me, whether you're in my jurisdiction or not, I'm happy to provide you with the answers. And I would say contact one of us. But I do think that our program Thursday night will be extremely informative to give people an overview of elections in Michigan, how they've changed, why they're safe and secure, and how hard we're working as a group to make sure that everybody has a chance to have their voice heard. And it's important to remember, these are rights that were protected in the Constitution and voted on by the people. So important things to remember.
Yeah, a lot of these options were stopgaps for safety concerns and to make sure that people could get out and vote in 2020, and later were put into Michigan state law by Proposal 2 of 2022. And that's all the more reason to learn more about these, because this is the way of the present and the future in the state of Michigan as you get out to vote, both in a primary election, a presidential election, and all other elections in between. Debbie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Tyler. You have a great day.
You as well. Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk, with us. The Power of Your Vote, Taking Advantage of New Voting Rights is a virtual seminar. It is free to attend Thursday, January 11th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. More information and registration information can be found on the National Council of Jewish Women of Michigan's website, ncjwmi.org. We'll take a break on The Splash Live. On the other side, we'll continue to keep your local news close to home across our 4 communities. Stay with us. The Splash Live. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take a break and tune in to The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Join Tyler Kieft as he goes through headlines and events, updating you on the day-to-day happenings in Oakland County. Catch us live weekdays 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Watch us on demand at civiccentertv.com. Or watch us on TV at Comcast Channel 15 or AT&T at Channel 99. This is Civic TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live, keeping your local news close to home in West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, and Sylvan Lake. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. We told you about a really fun event that happened over the weekend and culminated on Monday with pickup of stuffed animals that were dropped off by families and kids all across the greater West Bloomfield community to our friends at West Bloomfield Parks for a bit of an adventure over the weekend as they explored our local nature together with the West Bloomfield Parks naturalist staff, and even explored some other areas of the town hall complex, heading over to the library, meeting Curious George, and getting to see some of the special programs in the kids area of the library. And on Monday, as the last stuffed animals were picked up by their families and their beloved owners, West Bloomfield Parks posted on their Facebook page a big thank you saying, quote, "This weekend was stuffed with fun. Thank you to everyone who participated in our 2024 stuffed animal sleepover. We had a blast with all of our pals who stayed at the Recreation Activities Center this weekend. Our sleepover weekend was jam-packed with bird watching, scavenger hunts, campfires, and more. And thank you to the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, who let our stuffies stop by to see our friend George," end quote. And they also wrote special letters to each of their owners to tell them about their adventure over that weekend and early into Monday. If you have picked up your stuffed animals, you got those letters, you got some stories, from that adventure, please send them on over to us. Send us a DM on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, on Twitter and Instagram at Civic Center TV, or tag us in a post on Facebook, Twitter, or on Instagram about your experiences. We'll keep a lookout for those and maybe read some of those stories on another edition of the Splash Live. More information on special programs with West Bloomfield Parks at wbparks.org. We've got a couple of meetings coming up for those that may be interested in Girl Scouts participation in our local area. Next week, both at Doherty and at Gretschko Elementary Schools, meetings for information about joining our local Girl Scouts troops will be happening. Wednesday, January 17th, 6:30 p.m. in the I Center for Gretschko Elementary, and then Thursday, January 18th at 6:30 p.m. for Doherty Elementary School, both in their I Center. On your screen, we have a visual of some of the key events, such as selling the cookies, but they also go out on campouts and other special events all throughout the year. You can get more information by scanning this QR code for more info on joining the Girl Scouts, or in this case also on the local Girl Scout cookie sales for our Roosevelt troop as well. Or if you're interested in joining your local Girl Scouts troop, you can contact Mary Beth Mills of the Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan at 248-871-9201, or send an email to mmills@gssem.org. In addition, as we mentioned, the Roosevelt Girl Scout troops selling cookies for what perhaps is the final time, as their school is set to be closed and their elementary is consolidated into others throughout the school district. They're taking pre-orders and direct shipping orders as we speak. Both will be out and about throughout the heart of the lakes at their booths at local events, as they even were over the weekend. So as you're out and about in Kiko, keep a lookout for our local Girl Scouts troop and understand that, hey, this might be their final time together as a group. All the more reason to support them. These cookie sales range from about $5 to $6 per box and help to support horseback riding, camping, museum trips, celebrations, and other events, and teaches these girls budgeting skills, marketing, counting money, inventory, and so many other skills that they can use throughout their life and apply to their schooling as well. So we had that QR code up for you earlier on. If you rewind back just a little bit, you'll be able to scan that and get even more information on the Girl Scout cookie sales at Roosevelt Elementary School. Here it is one more time. Give you a few more seconds to either pause the video or scan that as we speak on CivicCenterTV.com for those listening on the radio. You have a chance to learn a new skill in the city of Sylvan Lake later on this week and later on in January as well, on Thursday, January 11th, and a couple weeks later on January 25th, both at 6:30 p.m. Head on out to the Sylvan Lake Community Center for the Sylvan Lake Knitting and Crocheting groups, as they're starting off a new year of club get-togethers, learning to knit and crochet, knit and crochet master and guru. And Sylvan Lake resident Lori Sheffield will be leading the charge, and this is open to anybody at any skill level, whether you're new to the craft and the art or you're experienced. You're going to have an opportunity to explore the art, to talk with others that are interested in the Sylvan Lake area, and even learn a new skill. It will be bi-monthly beginning in September and through May, but in the meantime, a couple times a month, they will have this happening, and you can find more information on sylvanlake.org. We'll keep it right here for more information and quickly go through some other special events coming up. The West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce will be supporting its new board members and introducing new members of the chamber in just a little bit over a week. We'll be live next week Friday about 8 a.m. at West Bloomfield Parks Connect for the board installation breakfast, as the 48th District Court Judge Diane DiAugustini officiates the swearing in of new presidents and other high-level board members for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. Plenty of more information is available on how you can participate on westbloomfieldchamber.com. And of course, you can join us for our live broadcast, including the full ceremony live on Civic Center TV, a special edition of the Splash Live, Friday, January 19th, beginning at about 8 a.m. CivicCenterTV.com for more information and for updates. Oakland County will be holding a Veterans Fair with plenty of more information on resources available throughout the county at White Lake Oaks Golf Course from 9 a.m. until 12 noon on Thursday, January 18th. Free non-perishable food boxes will be available, veteran benefit claims assistance, job assistance, and so much more. You can learn more and get a link to register on the Facebook page of Oakland County, facebook.com/OakGov for even more information. In our local area, for those that are going back to school, it's the second day back in the second semester in the West Bloomfield School District. But if your kids notice some abnormal behavior or notice some potential threats in the classroom or throughout the halls, there is a great resource for them to report these issues anonymously so that they don't feel like they are in a precarious position socially in their school. And by using the OK to Say resource through the state of Michigan, anonymous tips may be provided in a number of different ways. There's a free app called OK, the number 2, Say on both the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. You can get more information on that, or send your messages by text to 652-729 or call them in anonymously 855-565-2729 or go to ok2say.com. The link is provided on your screen right now on civiccentertv.com. We'll continue to keep you updated with the latest stories from throughout the greater West Bloomfield area, keeping your local news close to home in West Bloomfield, Keagle Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, and Sylvan Lake. Stay with us. The Splash Live will continue very soon.